My name's Carl. Just thought I'd have a quick run through and show a few people have been asking how I made impulse responses for the HeadRush gig board. So I just thought I'd show you through and show you how I did it. There's lots of different ways you can do it, lots of different tutorials online, but this is the way I did it and the way it's worked okay for me. So I'll go through the setup that I'm using and then the process of how to do it. So first of all, I'll give you a test tone. So this is my DWJ custom 20 watt amp, and it's going straight into a Laney 2x12 cabinet with HH drivers, 12-inch speakers. And this is what it just sounds like on a clean tone. This is my Ibanez fitted with a tone zone and a Norton pickup. So this is on the bridge pickup. And on the neck pickup. These are really nice clean sounding amps, so I wanted to get an impulse response that worked as a real clean sounding amp. Then you can build onto it in the HeadRush. So what you'll need to create your impulse response is an amp. You can use either an amp head like this, or you can use a clean amp, a solid state amp like this Marshall. Some tutorials recommend that you use a flat amp like this one to get just the sound of the cabinet. Whereas if you go through the head, you'll get the sound of the head will colour the sound of the cabinet as well, so you're getting more of an amp response. So that's what I've done for some of my impulse responses. So you'll need an amp of some kind, your cabinet obviously, and then when you play on stage and you mic your cabinet, you'll have your favourite place where you position your microphone. So this is a Shure SM57 dynamic microphone, and when I'm playing a gig, I normally my microphone placement is round about there on the left hand speaker, and it's about an inch away from the grill cloth. I don't put it right against the grill cloth because sometimes it can vibrate and cause issues, so I have it about an inch away, and that's the sound that I like coming through the PA system. So that's the sound I tried to replicate in the impulse response. So I can put this down now for a minute. So also what you'll need is obviously your gig board or HeadRush pedal board, and you'll need a DAW recording software. I use PreSonus Studio One, but you can use Cubase, Reaper, Pro Tools, anything. As long as it has ability to input audio tracks, you can get lots of free ones online. Also, to create the impulse response, I used a program called Voxengo Deconvolver. I'll put the link in the description. You can download that for free. And that converts the wave files into the impulse responses that are compatible with the HeadRush, Kemper, Axefx, anything like that. So you'll also need a recording interface. I use a Steinberg UR22, but any interface that you can have an input and an output where it can record and play back simultaneously, you'll need. The way I set it up was I took a jack plug from the headphone out of my interface, like this, and then the other end of this cable goes into the effects return of your amplifier. If it's just a flat amplifier like that one, it will go just into a normal input, but this goes into the effects return of this amplifier. You don't need to put it into the front because you want the sound of the actual amplifier itself, not of the preamp. So the first thing you need to do, can you see that all right on that? pretty clear. First thing, I'm going to try and make it a bit bigger. The first thing you need to do before you do any processing of any kind is open Voxing or Deconvolver, and it takes you to this window here. What I did, I created a little folder on my desktop just called Created IRs, so it's a good little tip to create one of those first so you've got somewhere to put your work in progress. So once you've got your Convolver program open, what you need to do is you need to generate what's called a test tone. So you click on Test Tone Gen, which is this button down the bottom here. Don't worry about the settings for now, I'll explain those later. And it comes up with this little box. So you make sure. So those are the settings once you've clicked Test Tone Gen. Those are the settings that you want. Set it to 24-bit, 44-100. And the duration about 12 seconds. Those are the settings I find that worked okay. Click generate. It'll ask you where to save the file to, so I've created a little folder called today in there. And there we go. Right, so once that's done that, you can minimize that. Okay, so in the folder, in the created IR folder, there is our test tone that Convolver created. So in down here, from my SM57, I've got a XLR cable, and that's going into my input of my interface, which is this one. Okay, and as you can see on my door, I've got that channel armed. There, I've labelled it SM57 input, so you can see it, and you can see that it's got an input signal. Yeah, that's from the microphone. There's nothing else, just that. So what you need to do now is the file that was generated by the Convolver, you need to put into your door. Drag that onto a new channel. There we go. Right, so I've got from the headphone socket of the interface going to the FX return of the amplifier, and then a microphone from the front of the cab into my DAW, into my interface, and onto a new channel on in my DAW. And then I've imported the file from Convolver, the test tone, into my DAW. Okay, so what the impulse response does, what the test file does, it creates a wave file that will play through the cabinet, and then that cabinet response will be recorded through the microphone into the DAW. So the actual tone of the test tone is okay, that plays through the cabinet. In turn, the microphone picks up that signal being played through the cabinet. So just a quick warning, it is very loud and it is quite an uncomfortable noise, so please just bear with me. If you want to skip past this bit, you're more than welcome to. So arm your SM57 or microphone input, and then you're just going to click record when you're ready. Now, just a word of warning, please make sure that your monitor level for your recorded input is switched off, otherwise it will feed back through your speaker and you can risk damaging your equipment. So make sure that your speaker monitor is switched off. You don't need to hear what's being recorded. As long as you know that you've got signal level coming in, then you'll be fine, and you will see it to record up here. So let's just record it. Okay, so that's now recorded a wave file of that test tone that was generated there. So what you need to do now is you need to export this wave file, and that then will in turn become your impulse response. So I found with Convolver, when you export your file, it has to be at least as long as the original test tone. So don't crop it too small. Leave a little space at the end, and then you're going to export that file. This one now, the test tone, can be removed. So we can take that away. And all we're going to do is we're going to export this one file. So in Studio One, I got to export Mixdown. You can name your file. So I've called that, let's just change this one to, call that 1 inch away. Okay, and then tell it where you want to save it to. So I've got a little folder, desktop, created IRs today, select folder. Okay, and you're going to export it as a WAV file, 16-bit. Okay, like that. Okay, so when we come over here now, in my IR folder, there we go. There's my WAV file from my DAW. Okay, so what we need to do now is we go back into Convolver, and the bit at the top where it says test tone file, tell it where your original file was. So the original test tone file was there, sweep, click open, and then files to process is now the WAV file that I just created, which was the recording of the test tone, which is this one. Click open. And down here you've got some extra settings, so make sure that your out bit depth is set to 24, MP transform is ticked on, and normalize to 0.3 decibels fs is set, ticked on. Click process, and it's now created an impulse response. Once it's created your impulse response, it will have the letters DC after it. So there's my original test tone file, there's my WAV file of the recording, and there is the impulse response. So now what we need to do is load that onto my HeadRush. I'm assuming you know how to do that. If not, I'll quickly run through it. So first of all, we need to connect the HeadRush to the computer. So we need to connect the USB cable, should already be connected. And we go to global settings, and then in there again, and then USB transfer. Okay, and with a bit of luck, your HeadRush removable drive should show up on your computer. So we're going to copy the impulse response, and we're going to put it in the impulse response folder of the HeadRush. So I just Control V. Okay, there it is. Importantly, you always have to press sync before any file transfer will take place. Okay, so now when you've created a rig, you insert your IR loader, which is basically if you click on add and then go to custom IR. I use an IR24. Okay, and to select the IR that you want, double tap, and you can see my laney ones are already here. Okay. And then you just load it in. And once it's loaded in, then you can just play away. And if you need to refine the actual IR itself, you can alter the high cut. That tends to take some away from the fizz, and the low cut as well. Give that a boost, and that'll bring it'll take away any sort of muddy bottom end or any problems that you may have. Okay, hope this works okay for you. If you've got any questions, feel free to inbox me. And if you'd like to download the IRT impulse responses that I've already done, just send me a message and I'll send you links to be able to download them. Okay, cheers guys, thank you.